What is up, everybody? Welcome to Toffee Blues USA, your source for all things Everton, American style. Gerry coming to you again from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Joining me today, I have a new guest. I have a friend. Yeah. So my new guest, really excited. Different from a different supporters group I haven't engaged with. So this is completely new and interesting and awesome. I have Adam Iacono from Pittsburgh Toffees joining me today. Welcome, Adam.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
This is very cool. So Adam, let's talk about Pittsburgh Toffees a little bit. So you are one of the main admins on social media and everything, but the supporters group. What's the story of the supporters group in Pittsburgh?
So we've been around since about 2013 or 14. It really just started when one of the guys in our group wanted to find other Everton supporters in Pittsburgh, and he just created a Facebook page and was hoping that people would search for it and find it. And that's how I found it right around that time. I think it only had it up for maybe a couple of months when I latched on, and we met up. And at the time, there were 2, 3, 4 of us, getting in on the page, meeting at the pub. But the guy who started it, I mean, he works a busy schedule. He's got kids. At this point, I haven't even seen him in maybe 3 years. So I don't even know what Rob is up to out there somewhere. But we've got a nice crowd of people. Even on a slow week at the bar for a match, we'll have 5 people show up to watch. We've had 50 for matches in the past. So it really fluctuates based on how much push we get, on social media and asking people to come out. We've even gotten together with the Pittsburgh Liverpool guys for derbies a few times. And unfortunately, in the last 5 years or so since we first started doing that, we haven't left with any good days yet. But we've had a few good draws that were felt like, we could at least leave with our chin up,
Gotta love a good old non-loss.
Yeah.
So what's the bar over in Pittsburgh?
So our home bar here in Pittsburgh is Industry. We're right in the city in Pittsburgh. They have a couple locations around town, and funny enough, the location in the southern suburbs is actually the Liverpool home bar. Those guys have bounced around a bunch. I don't know what's going on with that, but we've been with Industry at our location for probably 4 or 5 years now. Before that, we would meet at Piper's Pub, which is definitely the center of Pittsburgh soccer football culture. But it's, it got to the point, 5 or so years ago where there wasn't always room for us at the bar. Everton games weren't always a priority, even when there were 3 televisions. And we just decided, we need our own place. We need to spread out. And we weren't the only supporters club to do it around that time. But it's still a great bar. Unfortunately, they haven't reopened their doors since March when the pandemic first hit. But they're active on social media, and they're planning on coming back. It's just a matter of when. But they're a great bar. I go there always for U.S. national team games at least. But nice. Even if we don't go there for games anymore, yeah.
So just a question out of curiosity. Do you have – a lot of people talk about their support in their local. And I got to be honest, my local, I said it before on the show, is Wake Forest University soccer because we don't have a lot of local professional soccer happening in near Winston-Salem. Right now, we've got some, NCFC is in Raleigh and Charlotte Independence is in Charlotte, and now we have Charlotte FC. But it's like that's the thing. It's like it's been a struggle to find the local. Who's your local?
So our local are the Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Okay, cool.
They're in USL, in the USL Championship, which is, the tier right below MLS. Obviously, no promotion relegation, so that's our league. But no, it's a great stadium. It's a great ground. We have a great group of supporters. The Steel Army is the supporters group there. Really great people in that. Always a lot of fun. Our stadium's not very big. They built it maybe 10 years ago. I think it only holds about 5,500. But in the intervening 10 years, the club got a new owner. He's really improved the team a lot. We brought in Bob Lilly, who used to be the manager of the Rochester Rhinos when they were winning USL league titles. He was with them. We haven't won any league titles yet. but we finished first record in the Eastern Conference and had some really great. We went undefeated at home 2 summers ago. So we've had some really good seasons, even though no titles yet. And I should mention, I got to give a shout out to Pitt men's soccer, which is really taken a big leap up the last couple of years. Made the Final Four tournament for the first time in a very long time last year. Got up to #1 ranking in the rankings this year. Lost in the ACC championship game to Clemson, but that's nothing to be ashamed of. So we're looking forward to the actual Final Four tournament coming up sometime this spring. I don't know the details on that at this time, though.
Who's coaching Pitt right now?
Oh no, you're putting me on the spot, and I forget his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. It starts with a V, but
is it Vidovich?
Yes, it is Vidovich.
Still there?
Yes.
Vidovich is still there?
Yeah.
So he was from
He's
Wake.
been there for a while, yeah.
He was from Wake, and he was like, he did skills for like a bunch of youth teams locally here in Winston when he was the assistant at Wake before he became the head coach. And he was my team's skills coach for a while. So every time I see Vidovich, I'm just like, I remember you. And he's just like, he was such a fun, cool guy. He was the coolest coach. He's so cool, because because you're always just like, Jay, and he'll call you out, but also he has no problem just, being really goofy. Like he's just he's just the coolest guy.
No, that's cool. I mean, the U.S. soccer world is it's a small world that's connected like that. So I'm not surprised that there was some sort of connection there. Yeah.
I got psyched when you said Riverhounds too, because I was like, that's one of the teams I know, USL teams, because that's a very distinct brand. Like very distinct. Like I feel like if anybody who keeps up with any USL is familiar with Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I wasn't sure if there was another team that if you were like, well, we like this other like MLS team or something. I didn't want to say any names of anything that was nearby, or if there was any kind of city thing where you're like, no, we don't really like them. But Riverhounds, I'm psyched to hear that.
Yeah. No, we don't really have beef with any of the local MLS teams like, Columbus or Philadelphia. We don't really care.
Okay.
I mean, the Philadelphia 2 team, the Union 2 or Bethlehem Steel, whatever, there was a little bit of a rivalry there for a couple of years. But no, nothing really. I mean, honestly, our biggest rivals are right in USL. So you're talking about Indy 11, Louisville. Well, Nashville's gone now, going to MLS. But I mean, those are our regional rivals. Unfortunately, nobody like really local that's an easy drive anymore. With Cincinnati out of the league, Louisville's the closest. I think there's supposed to be a Cleveland team coming in, maybe a Buffalo team. So that would be fun. Those are games we could do, like a Saturday road trip, get a bus, something like that.
That'd be awesome.
We'd be excited for that. Yeah.
Very cool. Now that's one of what you're describing is really one of the toughest things in American soccer, period. The distance between teams, between bigger teams.
Yeah.
That's like the big rub here. Interesting. Especially when you hear people like Rooney talking about how tough it was traveling between games for MLS.
Yeah, it's always funny to me the way, in, not just English or, other European leagues, how the visiting supporters love to get recognized by the players at the end of the match. Thank you for coming on this road trip. It's like they were on a train for 2 hours. That's easy. Like I don't have anybody within a 2 or 3 hour car drive of my hometown. There's not even one team, let alone every team in the league. So it's a totally different world that, we're just, we're so unfamiliar with one another's, lifestyle and the situation with the distance and everything.
It is, but it's also, I feel like a lot of times with our areas, we have to really do our best to try to bulk up the soccer culture in our community. We do our best, right? I feel like that's a thing. Like I've got kids that play, and I'm trying to expose them to as much soccer as possible, because if I just let it lie and I didn't push it, it's not going to be in their face very much. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it certainly wasn't in my face growing up, but it was very different in the 80s and 90s when it came to soccer.
Very true. Very true. Yes, it was. So we've talked, but Pittsburgh, it's interesting. I was always curious about Pittsburgh as a soccer town, like the soccer culture in Pittsburgh. That was kind of my segue there, and I forgot it, and I just remembered So yeah, how does Pittsburgh function as a soccer town?
Well, we're definitely a sports town.
Yeah.
The obviously everybody knows the Steelers. The Penguins, the NHL hockey is super popular here. Probably, second most behind the Steelers now. It used to be the Pirates, but they've been so poor for so long that like anybody under the age of 25 has barely ever seen anything resembling success in
Oh,
their lifetime. So I mean, other than a few years there with Andrew McCutcheon from like 2013 to 16, outside of that, we haven't had any winning seasons since 1992. So
wow.
it's
Wow, my
I
God.
know it's so the league revenue sharing and all these other things, but I don't want to get into all of that. There are a lot of bitter baseball sports fans in Pittsburgh over the way
Yeah.
the Pirates have been run for a few decades now. So I I'm surprised that. So here's the thing: I have a few friends that are high school teachers, and they'll say I have more students wearing soccer jerseys to school than baseball jerseys, but they're not wearing MLS jerseys or Riverhounds jerseys. They're wearing Barcelona, PSG.
Yeah.
You run down the list of all the big names, the usual suspects. I mean, those are the
Yeah.
ones that they'll talk about. That's who the kids support. They watch a lot of soccer, they watch a lot of football, but not necessarily the local clubs.
Yeah.
So, that's a struggle. But we do have a number of large local, like youth development programs, and I know the Riverhounds here. We're actually briefly affiliated with Everton on a training level around a decade or so ago.
Wow.
There was only a partnership that lasted a couple of years, but I think the Riverhounds at the time were still a little bit in the wilderness, and that didn't really materialize into anything. I mean, you're talking about a team that played their professional games in high school stadiums for the first like 10 years of their existence, something like
Yeah.
that. So it just took a long time for the ball to really get rolling with those guys. And so the Everton partnership never really materialized. But yeah, we've had partnerships with Columbus and Houston and a couple MLS teams. Nobody here is jumping on board with that MLS team because of a deal like that.
Gotcha. So, okay, very cool. I'm always curious to kind of see like the personality of the town and how that translates into the Everton support in that town. You know what I mean? Like I'm always curious to kind of see. I don't know why the psychology is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think Everton actually is very well represented in Pittsburgh. I think there's something about the Liverpool city plus Everton, the personality of the club and the city, the whole like old fashioned working class industrial port city in Liverpool's case, but old fashioned working class city. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of cultural overlap there, I think. That was part of the appeal with Everton for myself. We are, like I said, we're one of the best supported clubs in the city. But obviously Chelsea and some of the others are really big. I think the most supported here in Pittsburgh is probably Spurs. But we actually so I mentioned Piper's Pub earlier. There was a fella that moved to Pittsburgh from London back in the 60s, and he was a Spurs supporter. And from the day one when Piper's opened, he was there 5 days a week talking to everybody that would talk to him. And he just recruited people to Spurs over the years.
Yep.
And Tony was
Bet
a
he
great
did.
guy. Unfortunately, we lost him a little over a year ago now.
Oh,
But
I'm
he was such
sorry.
a sweet guy. He basically had legal pads full of what is now on like Rec Sports Soccer and Wikipedia, all the league tables and stats. He kept them all by hand. So he was a
Oh,
really cool guy. And so it's great to have people like that in your community that they just want to engage. When he found out he was an Everton guy, he whipped out notebooks from his bag that he had under the table, and he's showing me league tables from the 80s. And I'm like, I'm familiar with all that, but I appreciate that you're excited to talk about it.
that's so. See, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is people like that making an imprint on the football culture, if you will, the
Yeah.
soccer culture. That's just massive. Wow, guys, what a cool story. Uh, so Adam, let's delve into your Everton journey a little bit. How are you on this Everton thing?
Well, I mean, like I said, I started really getting into Premier League football 08, 09, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
I think, 09 was the big, the U.S. Summer of Soccer. The the Confederations Cup and the Gold Cup. It was a huge summer that year. And that's like, after that summer was the first year I was like, I'm going to get serious about watching soccer, because I had been watching the US team and following stuff very casually for many years. But that was the first time I got really serious about it. And so early on, it was just, I was sort of agnostic. I didn't have anybody I was supporting. And there were a few teams that like appealed to me. Like, I really did like Arsene Wenger. And so like Arsenal was like somebody I enjoyed early on. But there was something about, I don't know, those Moyes teams for a while there. Like, yeah, sure, the football could be kind of negative at times, but there was a personality to the team and to the club that really drew me in. Having Tim Howard certainly didn't hurt. And then the 2 Landon Donovan spells. The first Landon Donovan spell was probably like that run there, had a nice couple wins. Loved seeing Donovan in the shirt. He would talk about it in the papers and in the media. And I think that played big into it. And not only that, but at the same time, right across the park, Liverpool was dealing with a lot of ownership issues with their American owners at the time. I remember there was one incident where some Liverpool guys burned an American flag in protest. And I was like, you know what? I'm going the other way. I'm going with Everton. You know, that was definitely part of it, was like a little bit of a screw you for burning a flag like that. It's like, I understand that you're upset about various things, but now you're bringing like, you're sparking an international incident.
Wow.
So, I didn't get like really angry or anything. And I realized it's just a couple guys misbehaving, but it was just a lot of things all building up together at once that sort of drew me into Everton. And once I got involved with the Twitter community, talking to people on there, I just started having fun, and it was just a blast. Wake up Saturday morning, make a pot of coffee, and watch some football, and it was great.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. So was there not everybody has this, by the way, but was there one moment where you're like, that's my switch, when your Everton switch flipped, where like one game or one goal, or was it the flag burning?
It wasn't the flag burning. I don't think there was really like one switch that like really like was a magic moment. It was just, like I said, I had just been watching and was drawn to a couple of teams, and eventually I knew I had to narrow it down, and I just did, no magic moment. I mean, there were some great moments there. And I really loved, like I said, Tim Howard, obviously I love just from being with the US team, but Tim Cahill and some of the guys from that era of the team they were fun to watch, and they were personalities, and they drew me in,
So what's your favorite Everton goal of all time, where you're like, that one, I get chills when I watch it?
Chills when I watch it. I mean, so like there are so many great ones historically, but the ones that happened before I was watching, they don't give me the same emotional rush, like Rooney's debut goal or some of this stuff from the 80s. But I would say, I mean, the one that's like, when you say, what's your favorite Everton goal? The first thing that springs to mind is Tim Howard, like Tim Howard's goal, like the field length goal. Cause it's not just that I love that Tim Howard scored. It's like, it's funny and it's unexpected. There's humor in it. Like it just has a lot going on there. It's like a windy, rainy day. And Tim Howard's the guy that got the goal for us. I always felt bad for Bogdan on that one, though.
Well, yeah, Tim Howard did too. That's the thing. Like when you always read the quotes from him. He was like, I didn't really like scoring that,
Yeah.
Or, it was like I felt really bad for him, and I was just like, wow, I don't know if I would have ever expected anyone to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I have to, maybe one that isn't, kind of sentimental because of the American connection and the oddity of a goalie scoring. It's probably Jagielka's Derby goal that came out of nowhere. It was so good.
That's my Everton moment, dude. That's my moment. Yeah. That's my one. Yes. I'm so psyched you said that. Yes. All right. Cool. Yeah. Where he ran over and grabbed the hat and put it on. Yeah.
Oh, it was. Yeah. I mean, and of all guys that have such a perfect shot, I mean, Phil was a great defender and he was our captain and everything, but he was not known for his goal scoring prowess. And so it was just so unexpected.
Hold on. I just realized I made a mistake. I'm talking about a different goal.
What?
Talking about a different goal. I'm so embarrassed. I was so excited. No, that's not my Everton moment. That's my favorite Everton goal. What you just said. That's my favorite Everton goal. That thunderbolt. That's my Everton moment was Jelavic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jelavic scoring against Spurs last second. That's when he went and got the hat. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, okay, that's the hat. You lost me with the hat. I just
no, it made no sense
something.
to you.
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
that's why you gave me that look, because it was wrong, Adam. That's why. I've had a long day. Everybody, I'm not even going to edit that out. Leave it. It's a mistake. I had good intentions. I promise I don't normally mix those up. Anyway, so last question for like Everton. No. I have two. Who's your favorite current Everton player?
Favorite current? I mean, he's been my favorite for years now. It's Seamus Coleman. I mean, you know, when I first started watching the club, I mean, he was a young guy we had just recently brought over from Sligo. He was playing in the midfield a lot as like on the right side. Like he wasn't fully trusted as a defender yet, and he worked his way into that role. And he's just, you know, he's been there since I started supporting the club. I mean, I realized, you know, maybe 10, 12 years, whatever, might not seem like a long time, but it's my entire tenure with the club. So, and he's been there the whole time. I mean, I love Leighton Baines and a lot of guys over the years, but Seamus was always my favorite. But I mean, among the newer crop of players, I love Richie. Like he never stops running hard. I know he's struggling a little bit as far as scoring goals this season, but he puts in a work rate game every day. Yeah. And he, you know, even if Calvert-Lewin and some of the other guys are scoring most of the goals, he's taking on defenders. He's doing hard work. He tracks back and defends more than just about any forward I've ever seen. And and that hard work and that just digging in and doing all the dirty work is something that I'll always, I mean, like I said, growing up as a big hockey fan, doing the nitty gritty is like, you know, is a high skill and to be honored, you know. So
nice. Very cool. Yeah, we get a lot of Richarlison from our guests saying Richarlison's their favorite player. I think we've had one other Seamus Coleman, which is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. I always feel like it's a good personality, like gauge. Kind of tells you a little about the person, you know. It's kind of cool. So now, heck, this may be your same answer. All-time Everton player. Which all-time Everton player are you? Like your personality. So if you take a look at it could be anyone that you've seen and you're like, that person, I connect with that person, you know, and it could be Seamus Coleman. Normally this is not the same answer, but maybe you're the first one for it to be the same answer. What do you think? Where you're like,
well, I think it's hard to say that with Seamus Coleman, because honestly, I don't know a whole lot about him. He's not a very loud guy off the pitch. You know, he doesn't have social media. So he doesn't do a lot of interviews as far as I've seen. So I can't really say that like, oh, I'm like Seamus is my analog, because I don't really know a ton about him.
There has to be a little bit of a leap here, I will say.
A little bit of a leap for sure. I would say probably like Tom Davis. Like I love to sort of be my own guy and have fun and not take it. You know, people often think I don't take things seriously, but that's not the case. It's just different personality types and people show stuff differently, you know. Just because I'm smiling doesn't mean that I don't care. And I feel like that's Tom Davis. Like the guy works hard. He's played in how many different positions on the pitch this year? He's been through, I think, 17 managers since his call up to the senior squad. And he finally has one that's investing in him as a player. And I'm looking forward to what he's still going to do. He's got a lot of value still, I think. And he's a guy that I like and I root for. And I see some of myself when I look at him, I guess.
I'll be honest. I look at Tom Davis, and I've said it before on other shows, other recordings last year, I'm sure. But I look at Tom Davis and I'm like, you know what? If my kids end up as well adjusted and their heads are on as level as his, I'm going to feel great.
Right.
because he's so comfortable just being himself, and people give him so much, but he finds a way. He's just cool. He's just
Right.
cool, man.
He's just a
Ah,
cool guy, I
ah,
like how he rolls around Liverpool on his skateboard still to this day. Like,
yes.
that's how he gets around. I loved that Christmas break trip that him and Calvert-Lewin did last
Yes.
year, Instagramming like fashionistas through New York City. Like, it cracked me up, and I
Yes.
appreciate those guys. Like, they're serious pros, but they know when to turn it off and have a little fun and relax and be themselves as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan.
That's a good answer. I think that's the first Tom Davies we've had on this. That's
Well,
awesome.
there you go.
Very cool. All right. So now that we know a pretty darn decent amount about Adam Yakono, we're gonna start transitioning into the rest of the show. Kind of be segueing away from the intro into our quick thoughts segment. So, quick thoughts segment. We just have a couple of quick things to to kind of discuss, and then we'll get into a Leeds review and then a United preview. All right. So, quick thoughts. Josh King, what are we thinking?
I'm really excited about it. It's a short-term deal. We didn't spend a lot of money on him, but he's had a track record of success in the Premier League. And with such a short term on the deal with him, he's going to be motivated to produce results so he can get himself a nice deal during the next transfer window. So Calvert-Lewin needs to be spelled. He needs time on the bench. He needs days off every now and again. And I think King, he's a good guy to bring in and do that. I don't know if he's going to, I don't know what his goal tally is going to be. And I don't have hard expectations on him, but I expect results because I know he's betting on himself by coming to Everton on a short deal, not a big transfer. He's putting himself in the shop window with a team that wants to qualify for Champions League. So he better score some goals, and he knows it. And I'm happy to have a guy like that on the squad.
Yeah, a guy like that said, you know what, Everton wants me. Cool, let's do it. Oh, the deal is not as juicy as Fulham's. It's not as long. You know what? Whatever.
Yeah.
It's that's someone who wants to be here. Somebody who wants to be here. Who, I mean, I got to be honest. He is a higher caliber player in terms of. I was expecting we were going to have to bring in either a much older player, right, a much older veteran, or a much younger player who was going to be way more raw. Right. So now we got a player who's used to being in front of a Premier League goal. Right.
Right.
He's used to it. He's I feel very lucky, especially to not have to pay for him. That's awesome. Really good deal for me.
Yeah, I'm happy about it. I mean, and we knew going into the January transfer window, we weren't going to be buying a ton of players. I mean, Carlo and Marcel they put that out there early. This is not a big buying window.
Yep.
And we put guys on loan out of the academy that are looking for good minutes at a professional level. And we did that. And then we brought in a guy that can give Calvert-Lewin some days off, or at least give him a quality sub. So yeah, I overall, I mean, I give him an A on the January window. Yeah.
Me too. I just don't have a lot of negativity about the January window at this point. I think realistically, I think all of us were hoping for maybe one in, but at least to give some opportunities and get some of these other players who are probably not going to play for us any first-time minutes. Go ahead and get them out, let them play. I mean, some of these players, they have good attitudes. They just want to play somewhere, and they're just not a right fit for us right now. So, yeah, nothing but positivity about this window. So, all right. So, we good on Josh King for now?
Yeah, I'm great.
Sweet. All right. Next, because the Spurs FA Cup match is going to happen after the United match. It's going to be it's not anytime soon-ish. We're going to hold off on doing a preview for that, but we wanted to at least address the fact that it's happening. So, we've got Spurs next, FA Cup. They are coming off a loss. At least they're coming off one from yesterday, I believe, 1-0 loss to Chelsea. Yeah. So how are you feeling about that Spurs matchup?
I'll be honest, I don't know how to feel about any of these matches these days. I think especially when you look at Everton and the ups and downs we've had this season, Kings of September and December, but what happened in October, what happened in that Newcastle game. But then you look at Spurs, and it's sort of been the same story with them, is who's going to show up. And I have no idea. It's got to be driving Jose crazy. I mean, he's already, on the edge of crazy at any moment anyway. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, we should try to push him over the edge and bring Naismith back for one game. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I feel good about it overall. I mean, we did them in the season opener, and we know we can beat them. And I know Carlo wants to get a trophy. Evertonians are desperate. We're desperate for a trophy. And if he wants to distinguish himself as a manager for Everton, his first full season in charge, he's got to either win a trophy or get us into Champions League. It's one or the other. And he wanted to win that League Cup. And that didn't work out. So I think he's going to go for it big time against Spurs. And I would expect us to get the win.
Yeah, Spurs are actually in the League Cup final in April, which that's a long wait for a final, by the way.
That one's normally in January, isn't it? Or January, early February, they finish that competition?
Yeah, I think that it's a wait. I remember looking it up the other day.
Yeah.
It's way later than I was expecting. And I was just, what a haul to wait. But they've got their chance. That's their chance. That's the thing. Spurs have a lot of distractions. They have more distractions than we do right now. Because of more games, right? I don't say that to brag. It's like, oh darn, we're not in European competition, so it's but anyway,
well, in an already congested schedule, in an already congested season, you're adding more competitions that we don't have. I mean, we have, starting with the United match, 5 matches in 14 days now that they squeezed that City game in.
I'm so angry about the City game, by the way.
So
that was already screwy, and now they're throwing that.
So yeah, we went from 4-14 to 5-14. It's gonna be a tough 2 weeks. Talk about we just talked about having King around to give Calvert-Lewin a break. You need squad depth with a congested schedule. So it's gonna be, especially against some of the softer opponents in that stretch with Fulham. We're gonna need results because the other ones aren't gonna be so easy.
Yeah, very true. By the way, I think that this whole time I've been thinking, oh, Harry Kane's actually not going to play, and I think it came out today that he should be fit for that match. So there's that. They are a different team with him. The way he functions as that 9 that drops so far back, and all of a sudden he's distributing like a 10. Harry Kane, they're doing some weird stuff with him, and it's been kind of fun to watch whenever they're on transition.
Yeah, they are a fun team to watch. By far, the most fun team Mourinho's ever managed, as far as I can recall. I mean, he won a Champions League with Inter Milan, and I don't think they won a single match in regulation in the knockout rounds. Every single one went to penalties because he just did, let's not lose, and we'll deal with it later. And that's sort of always been his MO. Yeah. And this first team is actually fun to watch. So, but he's got, with Son and Kane up top, they've got some real skill up there that can put the ball in the net.
And Ndombele starting to really come into his own in the Premier League, because he already was a good player in League One. But man, they're a good team. They're solid. I'm just hoping they're resting people when we play them. It'd be great if they're resting some players, because they got, I don't know, some other match that we're not playing in the cup we're not in.
Right.
That'd be great.
He gets concerned about well, I don't even know what's going on with the European matches, because wasn't all of that just postponed? Didn't they push a bunch of matches back? I feel like there was some news about that earlier today that I skimmed over.
Was it today? Holy crap.
Or yesterday? I don't know. I hope I'm not misleading you and think misread something or whatever.
Yeah, I actually don't know. That is, I am curious now, so I'm gonna have to check that out. But anyway, it's interesting. I actually watched Spurs play, and I feel like they, the style that they're playing now is not too far away from what we're doing, in that, not being afraid to just defend when we need to defend, chill, just do a good job of deflecting attacks, and then try to throw the pressure on with counter, and then do what we can. I feel like there's some similarities between the way the teams are getting results when they're playing well, when they're in a good stretch.
Yeah.
Carlo's kind of doing some similar things, but the thing that's misleading there though is we've had so many injuries, like for a while. I'm not completely sure which style we're going to go with when Alan's back. Alan, yeah,
I mean, Dean was out for so long, and
yep.
Allen has been out now, and James missed so many matches, and yeah, we've had a lot of key players out for big stretches. I mean, Iwobi and Davis have both played at right back this year. It's been a weird one.
It has. So weird. Yeah. So the interesting thing, and by the way, I would say the cool thing, is that there's going to be one or two good players that probably deserve to start that will not be starting that game. That's awesome. That's exactly what we want.
Yeah, depth and competition and flexibility. If you want to shift the formation a little bit, you actually have some guys that can slot in and still do the job. Yeah.
Very cool. And the idea of being able to rotate a center back and not have much drop off at all, that's awesome.
Oh man, I mean, Keane and Mina and Godfrey playing out of position essentially. I mean, those three guys have been immense. Not to take away anything from Holgate and what other people have been contributing defensively, but yeah, we've got some guys back there. I think the left back, right back situation has been why we've been straining those center backs so much. So
yes, definitely, absolutely. All right. So, anything else on the Spurs match?
No, I mean,
just appropriately nervous.
I don't know what to expect as far as the squad and lineup just yet.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, that's why we weren't going to do a preview. It's just the idea of like, let me foresee and just pull a lineup. Yeah. So anyway, okay, cool. Well, I don't sense doom. I will say that.
No, I feel good about it. I feel
like we're in a good run here, and I'm not really afraid of anybody. That's nice. So, all right. So first part over. We move on. Leeds review. So this one was interesting. As we lost to him the first time we played him this season. This time, spoiler, if you haven't watched the match, sorry. There's your alert. Yeah, got a nice 2-1 win. Where do you want to start with this one, man? You want to start with lineup, formation, performance, man of the match? Where do you want to go?
Well, I mean, it just felt good to get a win against a newly promoted team because, we love dropping 3 points against newly promoted teams. Like you already mentioned, losing to Leeds the first time around. So, no, I mean, I'm happy we got the 3. Calvert-Lewin back on the goal sheet after not scoring for a while. I think that's one of the most important things in that match is to get him rolling again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, where do you want to go with it?
So, interesting lineup formation. I'd say I'd start with that just because it was sort of okay, what's going to happen? Where are people going to, it's an interesting thing nowadays. It's like, okay, who's actually playing left back? Who's actually playing center back?
Right.
Who's actually doing these things? We don't fully know what formation, which is cool because that means probably the other team is doing some similar stuff, which is fine, right? So how are you feeling with that?
Right. Gylfi got that goal and he was right up in the box, in the 8th or 9th minute, like Gylfi's in the 6-yard box. What's going on, But hey, Dean with a perfect cross again, and he was there to put it away. So, no, it was an odd game though, because we did put pressure on them early, but the second half was just, let's defend and not lose this thing. And, maybe that's part of maybe that's an issue with our squad is that we can't play with the ball as much as we'd prefer, but we do defend really well. So I'm not scared to play counterattacking football when you've got James and Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin running their butts off. I'm not afraid to play counterattacking with those guys.
Yeah.
But it is disheartening sometimes when you see those possession and passing numbers. It's like,
Yep.
is this a lack of quality, or is this Carlo being practical and just trying to get the result? And it's probably the latter, because he's a pretty good manager. So
yeah, one would think that would be that.
yeah.
There's been discussion in our little Toffee Blues chat that maybe the you know, our identity, our stronger games or stronger performances tend to be when we kind of invite the pressure on for a while and then we go, and invite it on for a while and then we go, instead of trying to be the one who dominate the ball. Instead, kind of let them have it for a while and then play off them. What are your feelings on that?
I have no problem playing a defensive counterattacking style.
Yeah.
It's honestly those fast breaks. I mean, just a few years ago when Leicester won the title, that team did not have much of the ball, and they were still fun to watch because they would defend like crazy and go over the top, and Vardy would score, and they won a title doing that.
Clinical. They finish their chances. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Being a lifelong supporter of U.S. soccer, I'm used to defending and trying to score on the counterattack. Yep. And we've had at times really great success with that style. And we've seen teams win Champions League and Euros. I mean, in the last 5 Euros, Portugal won one, Greece won one. And those guys weren't trying to score goals.
No.
You don't have to score a lot to win. You just have to score a little bit more than the other guy. We don't want it to be boring, dour football like we sometimes got in the Moyes era. But I don't think that was all on him. The club was very strained financially, and they were making the best of a tough situation. Yes. But no, there's nothing wrong with defending and winning on the counter, or just winning when you have the ball. And yeah, we don't have as many chances, but we're going to finish.
Yeah. Who's your man of the match in this one? Because I think we have some options.
Oh, I mean, you always first thought goes to whoever scores. But I thought Gomez was just everywhere.
Yeah.
I thought he was fantastic in that one. I have to say, because it was during my workday, I didn't watch every minute of the whole match, but I did have it on, and I watched as much as possible. And he just seemed to be everywhere. And some of the match, the reviews and stuff that I read about it, people seem to concur. I don't know who actually won some of the various man of the match from the team or the media or whatever, but he was mine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good pick. That ball that he played to Luka Dean on the left lead, I mean, the assist of the assist. Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it just, you love a guy, the fact that he hit that dip in form, right? He hit that dip in form, and you were thinking, okay, it's got to be an injury thing. It's got to be a confidence thing. What actually is it? Because it seemed there were times where he looked tired.
Right.
He looked tired, and I feel like that one would think that's lingering from the injury stuff. You know what I mean? Not being able to be fit the way you want.
Right.
To be.
We can only guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this was, and plus a guy like that, you just want to pull for him. He's just such a nice guy. So yeah. Man, to see him kind of be everywhere. His passing looked a lot more careful than it has. Mm-hmm. There have been games where he seems very, very lackadaisical, just kind of, not being very mindful of his passes. And, but yeah, man, he was a lot more thoughtful. It was good to see him, be that physical guy in the middle some, it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Gomes was probably my man of the match. Godfrey was all over the place as well. And he made some nice long runs too.
Jeez,
which you love. Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about. That
one run. Yeah. He went 70 yards with that one. Split 3 defenders at one point and still came away with the ball. Yeah, that was an incredible moment. But I think whole match, Gomes was my guy. Yeah.
He had my 8-year-old. Oh my gosh, he's so fast. He's just jaw dropped it. Godfrey making runs up, and it was great. I feel like Godfrey always has one very Godfrey-esque play every game now, where we point to it and that guy is what Everton has been needing. Watch this play. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah. Well, I did see some stats that one of those analytics companies was sharing on social media. And Godfrey is one of the leaders in the league at, what do they call them? Creative runs, or there's like a name that they use for it. But it's basically among all defenders in the Premier League, he's one of the top guys of carrying the ball 30 yards or more from his end towards the other end. He's one of the top in the league at doing that. And I mean, if you've been watching Everton games, you probably already knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely, that's one of the things when you saw like clips of him before he even joined the team, when he was with Norwich, when you watch, you know, you're like, wow, that guy has no issue being a center back and just going, you know, and just carrying the ball. And, you know what I mean? Like it's a totally, you love the idea of a center back doing that and not losing the ball. That would be the caveat there. Because if they're just going up, losing it, immediately starts a counterattack and they're done. Yeah, not so good. But the thing is, it's like he fights so hard, he refuses to give it up. It's like he will punch you in the throat if you try to take him from him.
Well, you know what? I mean, you want your defenders to have some of that edge, right?
He's got edge.
You want them to be a little angry. You don't want them to be too angry, flying in there getting cards, but you want them to have some edge to. And the way he carries the ball does distinguish him from our other center backs.
Yeah.
Michael Keane, he's got a pretty good long ball pass. Yerry Mina, good luck trying to dribble around him. But Godfrey will carry the ball. So it's nice to have a varied skill set among those guys on the back line.
Definitely. So my man of the match, we haven't mentioned yet, only because it seems a very like negative thing to go with this player, you know, but the guy just absolutely distinguished himself. Olsen was a wall, man. It was like, I don't know how they didn't score several times, and it was really impressive.
Yeah, he made one mistake, but he bounced back nicely and was immense down the stretch.
My gosh. Like there was one like second half flurry where he made like a double save and it almost looked like a triple save. It was ridiculous. It was, oh my gosh. Love seeing that, man.
I'm not trying to start a goalkeeper discussion, but it's great to know that you've got him back there, you know, and you're not just relying on one guy.
By the way, Adam, you don't have to worry about starting it because that doggone discussion is all over social media and probably in every pub.
Well, and I'm not trying to participate in it, you know. if Pickford's the guy, he's the guy, but it's great to know that Olsen is there.
It's a great, it's good, it's decent discussion fodder because you're kind of like, you know what? I do think Ancelotti is improving Pickford's mentality. And I think Pickford is improving having Olsen behind him. I think it's good. But I still think he's still making mistakes. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Olsen's not perfect, but right now, who do I trust more on that 1v1?
Right.
I hate to be super negative, but I'm kind of like maybe Olsen. I don't know. But I want Pickford to be great. I want him to be awesome. I've gotten his back a lot, you know. I want him to. Somebody who's had some issues like with some emotional stuff. You want them to push through. You love that story. Push through, get strong again. Awesome, right? But also look good. He looked good, and it was So I'll be curious who starts the next one. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Sure. Well, I'll throw in a quick defense of Pickford. He did talk recently in the media about seeing a new sports psychologist to get his confidence back up.
Yeah.
And that was great to read because he really has been better after starting the season kind of shaky for a while there. I mean, even in September when we were winning, we were giving up goals and he was not looking great. And he has been looking significantly better going back 2.5 months now. So I certainly want to give credit where it's due. He has regained some of his better form that we used to see more frequently.
And he definitely has more of a connection with the back line and with the players because he's just been there longer. It would be short-sighted to sit there and go, oh, he's just been leaky, it would be short-sighted to not acknowledge the fact that he's made some good saves. It's not been totally – I do think there's improvement. It's a weird thing. I'll be really curious. We'll talk about that later. I'm like jumping ahead. I'm like, who's gonna start? We're not there yet. All right. So another shout out for Decore as well, because he's just like this omnipresent dynamo who does not stop. He's one of my favorite players on our team, because I love the soul of that guy. Just he's everywhere. We have needed a player like him for a long time.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that'll run box to box. He'll defend for you. He'll occasionally chip in a goal or a nice pass in the box, but he's the guy that does a lot of the hard work that won't show up in traditional stats. He's not getting assists and goals. He's not getting clearances from his own box, but he's doing a ton of work out there for sure.
Yeah, he should have had an assist. DCL put that 1v1 right at the keeper, and again, my 8-year-old looks over. He should have had that. I was like, yeah. I know.
Well, as much as Calvert-Lewin has been scoring the last year, it does feel like there's so many missed opportunities as well.
How? How? But yeah, you're right. Agreed. So I guess one last little tidbit. Back line. We saw a back line of Holgate at right back. We saw Gerry, and we saw Godfrey, and we saw Luca Dean. What an interesting – and Michael Keane was on the bench, who some people feel has been one of the stronger center backs in the league this season. It was interesting, that little shake-up. How are you feeling about how that back line performed? Did you any concerns at all, or did you feel like, that was just strong?
I felt overall it was pretty strong. I would have liked a little more offensive connection with those guys to get the ball out of our zone a little more consistently in the second half of that game. But I mean, I like all four of those guys. I trust all four of those guys. And I really think Keane just needed a day off. I really think that's all Carlo was doing. I don't think there's any real concerns with where Big Mick fits in with anything.
He does the rotation. He rotates. Like, he's totally not afraid. And that's the thing. It's a squad rotation, and it's just a health thing. It's keep your players fit. And when we have and the cool thing is, with center backs, we've got that luxury. We are deep in that position, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with that lineup, the way that it was set up, Holgate at right back is probably your weak link. He's not getting forward the way you normally would want a fullback to do. And he's not quite the same passer as you'd like from maybe Coleman or somebody else over there. Godfrey, with his ability to run the ball forward, has felt more comfortable, quote unquote, out of position at fullback. But, I mean, Carlo, I have a hard time saying, well, I would have done this because the guy's won 3 Champions Leagues and, I'd be happy to shine his shoes.
I'm fingers crossed you get that opportunity, Adam.
Right.
Right on, man. So any final thoughts on this one?
No, look, it was a great win. We got the 3 points that we needed. I mean, we still have those 2 games in hand over, I think, everybody above us except City. We only have 1 game in hand on them. But it seems like they're actually pulling away now, is what it feels like. But with such a congested schedule, you never know what's going to happen this year. But yeah, we've got those games in hand. We got the win. Nice to bounce back after a poor performance against Newcastle that we're all just going to pretend like that never happened. I think we're going to move on with our lives. Short-term
memory.
Yeah.
Was it in Ted Lasso, the goldfish? Be a goldfish with your short-term memory. Yeah, man. Take a breath, focus on the now. Maybe it'll be fine. I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, really happy to get that 3 points. Really happy to grind it out. Stay together, Cheeks. We stuck them together. It was nice. So very cool. Yeah. Love. I don't know. I hated losing them that first time. Just pissed me off. You know what I mean? All at work, I've got fans from other teams, other squads, and they're like, Leeds, really? I'm like, shut up, leave me alone. So
I know.
it's the worst. But grinding out something like that, and you still got people talking about how great Leeds' football was.
Well, I'll throw it out there. My best friend here in Pittsburgh, he went to Penn State, did a semester abroad back in college in Leeds, and has been a Leeds supporter for almost 20 years now. And so that first match, he was so excited. We're back in the Premier League. He and I hopped on a Zoom chat, watched the game together.
Yeah.
And I knew what was going to happen before it happened. So good for good for him. Good for those guys, I guess. Welcome back to the Premier League. But yeah, but we're into the winter doldrums, the tough stretch of the schedule where you got to have the depth and the consistency. And it seems like right now Leeds doesn't have it. They're dropping points, and we're keeping pace with where we want to be. So we've got to feel good about that.
Definitely. I'm with you. All right. So if there's nothing else, we move on. United preview. Okay. I'm going to spill out a bunch of stats here about United. Current form, second in the table, 44 points, 13-5-4. Not a bad season from United.
No.
The previous 3 matches, they squeaked by Southampton 9-0.
It was squeaky bum time in that one, as they say, right?
Southampton had a red card the first minute. My God, poor kid. It's his debut, and immediately red. Oh my God.
I mean, I don't really ever have pity or sympathy for professional athletes when they lose bad, but I almost had it in that one. I mean, it was so bad. I mean, it's more hilarious. Wasn't there a game maybe 5-6 years ago where City beat Arsenal like 8-1 or 8-0 or something like that? And that was
Jesus.
I want to say so. There was one against a couple of those old Big Four teams that there were a couple weird ones there. That was just hilarious. When you do it to Southampton, it's not as funny because on some level they're just trying to stay in the league.
The thing is, Southampton's had such a decent season. They're playing all right. So, I'm not.
Yeah.
I would definitely never say I'm a Southampton. There's certain teams where you're like, yeah, I'll pull for them every once in a while. Southampton's not one of those teams for me. Not really.
No.
Not really. Yeah. So I'm totally fine with a lopsided loss for them. I hate it for the kid. His debut. I hate it for the kid. That sucks. You're trying to do everything, and then, oops, I, flagrantly, fouled you. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
hopefully for him, he has a nice career, and it's just a funny story he can tell to his family and friends,
Nice, it's
I had the worst first day of work you've ever seen.
Jeez, that's awful. So before that was a 0-0 draw with Arsenal, and before that was a 2-1 loss to Sheffield United. So it's not like they were playing great before that 9-0 thrashing, but yeah, that may have put their heads right. So interesting, both teams playing in decent form. Cool, maybe a good game. Possible lineup: De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Luke Shaw. That's kind of their back line that's solidified at this point. It's gotten to be pretty consistent for the most part. So there's that. Could see Fred and Pogba in the middle. Could see McTominay because I think he was dealing with stomach cramps in the previous match. But I think he's in the squad. But probably Fred and Pogba, could see that. Probably either Greenwood or Martial on the right. Bruno Fernandes, who has just been a really solid player this season. Marcus Rashford and Cavani, assuming he is healthy all the way. I think he's like 75% for it. So you're dealing with a potent attack and a defense that has sort of gotten to the point where it's sort of gelling. Anything worry you about this United squad at the moment?
Well, I mean, they're going to have the ball in this match. I think that's pretty safe to say. They've already beaten us twice this season, once in the league, once in the League Cup. So they're probably feeling pretty good going into this match.
They should.
I think it's unreasonable to expect a result, though. But it's going to, like I said, it's going to be a tough stretch with so many matches coming up for us in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. It's going to be vital to get a result while your squad is still fairly well rested here at the beginning of this stretch. I mean, I feel like a good result for us in this one is a draw, considering that, you know, they've beaten us twice, so it's probably safe to say they're better than us this year. So yeah, I'd be happy with a draw in this one.
Gotcha.
I think, but you know, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I didn't realize you're still going. You go on, dude.
No, I was just, you know, with this squad this year, though, I mean, we've gotten a few really great results. I mean, the run we went on in December, we got a few 3-point matches out there that I don't think everybody was expecting. So I'm optimistic for 3, but realistically, I'd be happy with 1.
Understood. Okay. So the next question is, who's the starting keeper going to be, Adam?
Well, I mean, allegedly Pickford's out because he does have a little bit of an injury. So I think it'd be safe to keep Olsen in there and not feel a lot of pressure. But once, you know, we know that Pickford is 100% and ready to go, I feel like you do have to put him back in. If he's your number one, you play him. I mean,
I hear you. See, I wrote Olsen down, but I wasn't even absorbing the fact that, oh yeah, Pickford was actually hurt. I was like, oh, he's just getting.
I don't know how much truth there is to that. It's not like they have, like, you know, the same regulations we have with our North American sports where injury reports have to be disclosed to one another. And I don't know what the real status is there, but that's what they were saying. So I don't know. We'll see come the weekend, but I have a feeling we'll be seeing Olsen.
If they did, you could totally see Mourinho pulling a Belichick, being like, sprained ankle, just about everybody. So Olsen in goal. Who we think? How's that back line going to work? Because somebody good is going to be left out.
Assuming Keane is fine and he was just getting a rest day this week, he's got to be back out there. I would think you want Mina and Keane back together in the middle. They've been so solid together as a partnership this year. And then, I mean, Dean is just, not only is he such a great defender on the outside there, but he's creating, I mean, he's got an assist in every other match he's played this year, basically. So you got to have him out there. And then, honestly, maybe Godfrey. I mean, he's young enough. It seems like he's got a never-ending engine, and put him out on the right. And I feel like that's your back 4. If Allen's not ready to go yet, maybe Holgate is playing that holding mid. I don't know. I mean, he's played there before. So, you know, Carlo likes flexing guys into new positions that, you know, just to prove he can do it. I don't know.
He loves – I've noticed – I'm starting to notice he really loves the utility of players that can play in multiple spots, and he will use the hell out of it, which is cool. Okay, you know what? I got to be honest. I like your back line. I was sitting there like freaking out, but honestly, Holgate may get the rest. You know, throwing Godfrey on. I don't think you can put Godfrey on the bench, and I don't think you can put Luka Dean on the bench, and I don't think you can put Yerry Mina on the bench. You know what I mean?
No. They're all playing so well together. Yeah. I mean, you know, if we don't know who to throw out at right back, I mean, maybe Ton Davis gets back out there again. Maybe, you know, Calvert-Lewin, he's played there before.
Oh, yeah. Coach Barca thought he could do that, right? That guy knows so much.
That's the joke that never dies is Calvert-Lewin. You were such a bad manager, you thought Calvert-Lewin was better suited at right back, but
Koeman. I'd be cool if Koeman just stopped talking about Everton, by the way. Just stop it.
Stop. he's got enough problems at Barcelona, you know?
Like, he didn't care about Everton when he was managing Everton. He's talking about
I
Everton
know.
more now that he's not managing us. It's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
cannot get over that guy. Jeez.
Lionel
Anyway.
Messi's going to leave. You better get on point with that.
Oh, man, we know he's basically been brought in to be a transitional dude before they get an actual normal manager.
Right.
That's
But,
what,
you know, if they –
that's what I'm banking on. So,
you know, if Koeman, you know, but if he fumbles this ball the way he did when he came to Everton, you know, Lionel Messi's out, you know, we've got a warm seat ready for him at Everton.
that would be fun.
Yeah. Hey, we are James Rodriguez. I mean, you know, those guys can talk. You know, we'll see what we, you know.
Just saying, nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know what, Carlo? If
Let's
anybody
just
can make
start
that
the
happen,
Cristiano
Carlo.
Ronaldo rumors while we're at it, I guess. Big Rom, Inter. I heard Inter's having financial trouble. Rom, you can come back.
You're allowed back. I like the way you worded that. You can come back.
You can come back. You can come back. Come on in. Come on. It's all right.
Yeah. So, who are you running in the on the next line?
Well, we don't know if Allen's back yet, right? I mean, is he supposed to be ready this weekend?
He's supposed to be ready this weekend.
With his newly shaved head, by the way. I don't know if you saw that news story. Yeah.
Very cool.
His son's got alopecia, and so he's shaving his head in solidarity. A very sweet gesture in support of his son. I mean,
really was.
You expect no less from a father for his son, but a wonderful gesture. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him back out there, assuming he's healthy. But like I said, maybe we end up seeing Godfrey or Holgate there. I mean, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Decore is obviously got to be out there. You know, but I never know. Sometimes when I see Carlos formations, I don't actually know what our formation is when I see that. You know, I see. So is it going to be 2 or 3 or 4 midfielders, or is it? I don't know. I mean, our best success has been when it's been Alan Decore and James out there, right? I mean, that's been. So I mean, obviously that's what I'd want to see, but.
Or we could.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's a good question because we could end up doing Decore, Gomes, and Alan, and like run like a 4-3-3, and then up front James, Richarlison, and DCL, which is something
true.
We were really hitting our stride. We were doing that. It's just we've gone away from it, and I don't know if we're going to go back.
Yeah, and Rodriguez, that's true. You know, he was listed as a forward out on the right in a lot of those lineups.
Yeah.
But he really does drift back towards the middle.
He just goes wherever he
more
wants
like a
to go,
midfielder.
Right?
Yeah,
he's just everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think Carlo's maybe the only guy that can tell him where to go. Nobody else is telling him what to do. So
I think Carlo just says go, man. He just says go to the left for a little while, then go to the right, go to the middle, go to the back, whatever.
Yeah, cool. But I mean, he's setting up goals, he's scoring goals. I mean, you can't argue with the results. So
no, you can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if we do see only 2 central, like if it's just Decore and Alan, or if it's just Decore and Andre Gomes. So if it's just them, then we could see like what you were saying, James at that center attacking mid, that 10 position, you know, Richarlison on one side, Iwobi on the other, maybe DCL. Could be something like that.
We were seeing a lot of good stuff out of Iwobi for a while there in December, and it feels like he's just disappeared recently. So I don't know. I don't know what to. Maybe he needs to get back out there. Maybe Carlo's giving him a break. I don't know.
I don't know either. I am to the point where I trust him. So if he starts, I don't even blink. I'm like, cool. We need, because there are times where we need that safe cracker. You got a lockdown defense. You need a player that can do it on the dribble. He's one of our guys that can do that.
Yeah. He was playing a lot more when James was out, though. And with James back, it's basically displaced Iwobi again. But he put in some nice performances, so I wouldn't be mad if I saw him out there.
They're both 10s that have no issue starting on the outside. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Iwobi, when he first came to us, I thought he was a wing. I thought he was a wing player. I had no idea. I didn't realize he was a 10. Like, that's what Arsene Wenger said. He was like, hey, that's his best position. A 10 that plays on the wing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That cuts in and kind of does that. And that's what, I mean, let's be honest, that's what we were doing with James for a long time at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So there are aspects of interchangeability there between the two, except one does it on the dribble, and one does it with just the most absurd splitting passes. Just, oh my God.
His passes have just been otherworldly. And then not only that, but the goal he scored last week on his weak foot off the post and in was just, that's your bad foot? Like, he doesn't have a bad foot. I mean,
no, apparently not. The thing is, he usually does do his best to posture and get it on the left if he can. It's not but I don't even know if he gave himself much time to think about it, because it was that quick touch shot. It was so fast, like touch shot, so fast. He didn't really, I'm thinking it was like an instinctive kind of thing, where he didn't really think it through and just made it happen. Yeah, man. I loved seeing, because everybody talks about how he's pretty much got no right foot. So that was solid. That worked for me. It really did. Yeah. Very cool, man. So we might see Iwobi. I think the question will be, if Alon is in, are we running 4-3-3? Which we have no idea. It'll be hard to tell. Because if we are running 4-3-3, that puts James in a different spot. Yeah. So do you have a preference?
Honestly, I would love to see that. We already talked about the back line. I would love to see Alan back out there, and then you have Alan Gomes and Decore in the middle, and then you can put James out on the right up top, where he's going to drift in and do his magic, crossing over to Calvert-Lewin or Richie, finding open space. I mean, some of the goals he's scored this year, he's completely uncovered. It's like, how are you guys leaving James Rodriguez uncovered? And it's like, you know what? The truly great ones find ways to get open and make space for themselves, even when it feels like it should never happen. And he's one of those guys. And so, that seems like that would be our best line. It's been our best lineup this year. At least in my mind, it has been. I don't have stats to back that up, but that's been our best lineup. As far as I can tell.
It's completely fine throwing an eyeball test on there, man. It's completely fine. Because that's the thing. Let's be honest. When we're analyzing stuff, you've got the eyeball test, you got the stats.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because without the eyeball, the stats are kind of but without the stats, the eyeball can be deceptive too. So,
Right.
So what's the prediction score-wise?
I don't want to be boring and say 1-1, because I think both teams are going to score, and I'm going to go 2-2.
You know how you said you don't want to be boring and pick 1-1?
Well, both teams have been scoring, though, and there it is, 1-1 draw. I love it. We both have the same answer with just a slightly different score.
No, you just chose to spice it up. And it made me look like the bridesmaid. It's just.
Well, I think it's like we've been talking about our back line and how well they defend and how much we trust them. But I feel like this United team is just going to score, and especially after putting up 9 in their most recent. I realize that was a unique circumstance, but I feel like they've put goals in the back of the net against us the last couple of times we played. I feel like I don't have a good reason to believe this will be any different. But we seem to be getting healthy again. And I feel like we're going to get the offense rolling a little bit better, and score a few more goals. Like I said earlier, Calvert-Lewin back on track, getting a goal this week. James seems to always chip in here and there as long as he's out on the field. Luka Dean's healthy, crossing the ball in, pinpoint again. I think we're going to score a couple goals too. I like the 2-2.
Cool. Very cool. Final question. If Godfrey and Alon both start, what are we going to do with all that snide? You know what I mean? It's going to be like no one will get off easy in this game. You know what I mean? Like there will be people in the stands who they are calling out for not doing their jobs. No one is safe from those two. I'm just saying, you know? Oh my God. Yeah, because both of them, you catch them in games, both of them, just calling people out. Calling people out. Love it.
I mean, isn't that one of the reasons Carlo wanted Allen on this team?
Absolutely.
He's a guy that celebrates his own tackles and is going to yell at his teammates to do
Totally
better.
does. Yes.
And we love seeing it. I mean, we instantly love the guy. It was like, oh, he fits at Everton. He's what we need. He's a personality for us.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe there's so much tonight on the field that they themselves can draw a red card out of United. I wouldn't be too upset about that.
You know, that would be unexpected, and I'm totally fine with that. So yeah, that's very cool. All right, so we're both picking draws. Mine, the paint drying, yawn inducing 1-1. Adams.
Oh, it's not like you said 0-0. Don't get down on yourself.
Adam picks the nonstop thrill ride. That is the 2-2. Okay, that's it happens. Anyway, cool. So, I mean, Adam, there you go. That's the show. We're done. Yeah. Do you have anything that you want us to plug at the end of the show here? Make sure we tell anybody or everybody.
Well, I mean, I do want to mention a couple things. Just shout out to our Pittsburgh Toffees at PGH Toffees on Twitter. Go ahead and give us a follow. We are pretty involved with a lot of the Everton Twitter, conversations. And yeah, I mean, with the other local supporters clubs across the U.S., we've been in communication with each other lately. We're working on a few things that we can't necessarily talk about publicly, but some really cool grassroots efforts coming from American Everton supporters.
That's awesome.
Especially, one thing we're really hoping to put together in the next year or two is pandemic allowing, is a national meetup for Everton supporters in the U.S. A lot of the other bigger clubs in quotes, I should say, the ones that are more well supported in the U.S. historically. That's probably a better way to describe it.
I like that. That's well worded, Adam.
But Arsenal and Spurs and some of those other groups have done national meetups, and it's something that we want to do. So we are in talks on how do we organize that? What can we put together? Who's going to be involved? So I'm really excited about that. We will have more on, placeholder name Toffee Fest. I don't know if that's a final on that, but that's what we've been nicknaming it. So we're working on an idea of how we're going to do something like that and get Evertonians together, because we have a great community, and it'd be great to get to see each other in person. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of that we want to be doing right now. Travel is an issue, et cetera, but it's something we want to do. And there's a lot more we're working on that we will be pumping up on social media coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that with all of your local supporters club chapters. Yeah.
So I see a lot of updates that the supporters club groups and people involved in those calls, and it's the most mysterious thing in the world. They're like, hey, we just had a call and it was awesome, but we can't tell you about it. It's gonna be great, but just wait and see. It's the biggest tease. And I'm like, this is gonna be so cool. But I understand the secrecy, but it's just like, it gets me every time. I always giggle.
Well, we share the post because we want people to know, hey,
definitely,
there is stuff to look forward to in this community. But you can't always talk about stuff until it's officially official,
Yeah.
So
I'm definitely, I totally get it. I just love seeing it because I'm getting to know some of some of those guys are starting to come on the show, and I'm getting to know them. And I love, I don't know, it's just cool seeing everybody post, and the fact that everybody's got these plans. It's so cool that these plans are happening in America. That's awesome. Yeah. By the way, I'm secretly calling the big Toffee meetup, I'm calling it Toffee Palooza in my circles.
Okay.
Just because I didn't know you were calling it Toffee Fest. And
there's no official name yet, I don't think. Submit your recommendations.
No one will go with that.
Well, yeah,
like that Goober in Carolina said that. Oh no, it's yeah, very cool though, man. That's really exciting. The idea of people getting together, and that's just, that would be beautiful. That would be
Yeah, it's like you said earlier. I think you were talking about it on the most recent podcast of finding community. Just search online and try to hook up with people in your community and talk to them and get together. And that's, building your own local community and working together. And I mean, the guys that I miss the guys in Pittsburgh so much because we haven't been getting together at the pub this year. But built that sense of community makes the games more fun, and it drives up our level of interest and passion, and we sort of all get more excited together. And yeah, so I'm excited to get to see, I see these people on Twitter, the Charlotte guys and the Chicago guys and the San Diego Toffees and all these guys. And I've never met them in person, but I tweet at them all the time, it seems. So it'll be exciting. It'll be great to finally meet these guys in person at some point. And so many more people that we don't know yet. There are lots of Evertonians out there that don't know they're Evertonians yet, and we want to bring them in.
Absolutely, that's awesome. I'm so with you. Yeah, it's easy to feel isolated when you're a new fan of a team that's not even from your part of the world. It's easy to feel isolated, but you don't have to be. That's the cool thing about it. So yeah, Adam, thank you for coming on. This has been great talking.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast. I love talking Everton.
Yeah, this was really cool and now we can check another supporters group off the list. We got Pittsburgh Toffees on here now, which is awesome. Hope you can come back again, Adam, talk and hang out some more. I will not. Hopefully, it won't be after as busy of a day. So the idea of mixing up Yelovich and Jagielka is one of the dumber things I've done lately. But hey, I'm trying not to sweat it. That's what I'm saying. So
hey, we'll give you a pass on it. It's been. I mean, I had a busy day at work too, and it's just been a crazy. Every day is its own crazy adventure in the last year, and so we'll let it slide this time. It's totally fine.
You know what? And when it happens next time, Adam, you were like, "It doesn't slide this time. I told you, one free pass." So yeah, man. Man. So but thanks so much. Really appreciate you coming on. Definitely love to have you on again. I want to make sure I do my Toffee Blues plugging here. If you've been listening, if you've been watching, whatever, if you're digging what you hear or see, please subscribe to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel and check out our podcast. So there's that. Also, follow the Toffee Blues on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And the Toffee Blues website. There's a lot of really good content there. And yeah, so next, I have to plug my own stuff. I wrote a children's book, Randolph the Christmas Moose, available on Amazon. Yeah, I realize it's not Christmas, but it's a story that actually is relevant year-round. Yeah, it's a story about a moose who wants to learn to run, and other people want to take it from him, and that's not cool. Don't let him take your joy. That's what Randolph says. Right on. All right, that's it. We're done. Adam, thanks so much. Hope to see you again soon. Talk to you again soon.
Yeah, I love talking to you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Everybody else out there, we really need the 3 points this weekend. So will it to happen? Make it so. All right, everybody. Much love. Talk to you soon. Bye.